Mediterráneo, 3 continentes, 23 países, 500 millones de habitantes con un mar común, 3.735.000 kilómetros cúbicos de agua muy salada, el mar blanco de los turcos, el gran verde de los antiguos egipcios, mar en medio de las tierras, un mar y un mundo en riesgo, crisis climática, crisis ecológica, crisis humanitaria, en crisis el pan, el aceite, el vino y los peces, en crisis la brisa y los pájaros. En el mar de Ulises cada vez es más difícil llegar a Ítaca. No imploramos a los dioses, contamos con científicas y con científicos para plantar batalla.
Buenos días, por favor tomen asiento. Vamos a comenzar la gala de la selección mediterránea de la ciencia. Les rogamos por favor que tomen sus asientos. When Zapatero sits down, then they play the video, and what is the... micro de mano.
Sí, como no han puesto...
Mediterráneo, 3 continentes, 23 países, 500 millones de habitantes con un mar común, 3.735.000 kilómetros cúbicos de agua muy salada, el mar blanco de los turcos, el gran verde de los antiguos egipcios, mar en medio de las tierras, un mar y un mundo en riesgo, crisis climática, crisis ecológica, crisis humanitaria, en crisis el pan, el aceite, el vino y los peces, en crisis la brisa y los pájaros. En el mar de Ulises cada vez es más difícil llegar a Ítaca. No imploramos a los dioses, contamos con científicas y con científicos para plantar batalla.
Querido presidente, delegada del Gobierno, consellera, rectoras y rectores, autoridades, científicas y científicos, amigas y amigos. Mi más afectuosa bienvenida a Casa Mediterráneo. Pero esta bienvenida la hago a una persona especialmente responsable que hoy exista Casa Mediterráneo, el presidente Zapatero. Muchas gracias, presidente, porque hoy estamos aquí y bienvenido a esta, nunca mejor dicho, tu casa. La Gala Mediterráneo de la Ciencia y concretamente la presentación de la primera selección mediterránea de la ciencia que hoy va a tener lugar en esta sede diplomática, entra de lleno en nuestros fines, ya que es una de nuestras acciones que tiene como objetivo respaldar y apoyar sin fisuras la ciencia euromediterránea, el papel de la mujer en ella y la contribución y trabajo de toda la comunidad científica en favor de la prosperidad y la mejora de los derechos humanos. Quiero darles las gracias a todas y a todos por estar aquí con nosotros y muy especialmente a quienes forman parte del proyecto Midnight, en especial a los organizadores del evento de hoy, a Lorena Sánchez y Ricardo Domínguez. Espero que se sientan como en su casa. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Hola a todos y todas. Soy Ricardo Domínguez, coordinador de la Midnight y del Caleidoscopio. Hoy celebramos la primera European Researchers Night financiada con fondos europeos en la Comunidad Valenciana. La celebración de este acto nos debe hacer conscientes de la importancia que tiene dar voz a los científicos y científicas y conectarlos con la ciudadanía y los problemas que importan a la gente. El Mediterráneo pasa por un momento trascendental para los 500 millones de personas que habitamos sus orillas. Cambio climático, contaminación, sobrepesca, desertización, incendios, pocas oportunidades para los jóvenes y un largo etcétera de problemas compartidos. Ningún país puede por sí solo resolverlos ni abordarlos. Solo hacer equipo nos da una oportunidad. Por eso, para Midnight ha sido un reto crear la primera selección de científicas y científicos como símbolo para unir a los países mediterráneos, con la ciencia como nexo para hacer frente a las dificultades compartidas. En el mes de junio empezamos con la puesta en marcha de las actividades que se han desarrollado de manera paralela en varios de los países mediterráneos que están hoy aquí representados, donde hemos puesto el foco de atención en la figura de la mujer investigadora. Por eso nuestro proyecto se llama en femenino, la NIT Mediterránea de los Investigadores. Un presupuesto de 400.000 euros para comunicar la ciencia y hacer de nuestra sociedad y nuestro entorno un lugar mejor. Sin embargo, estas acciones europeas necesitan estar acompañadas de políticas locales y regionales hoy inexistentes en la Comunidad Valenciana. ¿Quién va a ocuparse del mar si la sociedad no sabe qué importa? ¿Quién va a ocuparse de la tierra que nos alimenta si la sociedad no sabe qué importa? ¿Quién va a investigar si el futuro no importa? Por último, agradecer a las más de 30 entidades que han hecho posible la Midnight 2021 y especialmente a Lorena Sánchez y a nuestro invitado de honor, el presidente José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero. Muchas gracias por vuestra atención y ojalá que la vida nos sonría a todas. Señor presidente, por favor.
Buenos días, muchísimas gracias. Buenos días, consejera. Buenos días, delegada del Gobierno, rectores, vicerrectores, autoridades, amigos y especialmente a los investigadores y científicos que han sido reconocidos en esta atractiva y sugerente iniciativa de unir el Mediterráneo a través de la ciencia. No sé muy bien por qué he sido invitado de honor a este acto. En todo caso, sí puedo decir que estoy encantado y que agradezco la invitación. Me van a permitir que mis palabras se contextualicen y arranquen con un poema de Jorge Luis Borges. A nadie extrañará que cite un poema de Borges. Decía Borges: dos griegos están conversando, Sócrates y acaso Parménides. Conviene que no sepamos nunca sus nombres. La historia así será más misteriosa y más auténtica. El tema del diálogo es abstracto, a veces de mitos de los que ambos descreen. Las razones que alegan pueden abundar en falacias y no dan con un fin. No polemizan y no quieren persuadir ni ser persuadidos. No piensan en ganar o perder. Están de acuerdo en una sola cosa. Saben que la discusión es el no imposible camino para llegar a una verdad. Libres del mito y de la metáfora, piensan o tratan de pensar. No sabremos nunca sus nombres. Esta conversación de dos desconocidos en un lugar de Grecia es el hecho capital de la historia. Han olvidado la plegaria y la magia. Han olvidado la plegaria y la magia. Y con ello han construido el conocimiento, la ciencia, el progreso. Y esa ciencia en Occidente nació en el Mediterráneo. Quizá, como el otro día se recordaba en Casa América, en ese acto sobre la poética del Mediterráneo, nació en Mileto, donde se sitúa el origen de la filosofía con Tales de Mileto. Mileto, que fue una ciudad griega, hoy turca, no lo olvidemos. Aquí se decía, si en Mileto nació la filosofía, fue porque era una ciudad de tránsito, de comunicación con Oriente, con India, una ciudad enriquecida por la diversidad. Y esa diversidad generó el nacimiento de la filosofía, como aquí se explicaba. Con ello quiero decir que el Mediterráneo, que ha sido la cuna de tantas esperanzas, el nacimiento de las aspiraciones en favor de los derechos humanos, la convocatoria a tantas aventuras en la historia, debe hoy recuperar esa capacidad de unión. Y la Unión Europea debe acompañar al Mediterráneo poniendo más énfasis en la Europa oriental, en la relación con Oriente y con el sur. Es la esencia de Europa. En países como Turquía, que dirimen un destino de entendimiento, de cooperación, de ensanchar la mirada de lo que representa Europa. De ahí que quiera felicitar esta iniciativa que divulga la ciencia, que nos aproxima a la ciencia, que nos hace amar la ciencia. Yo es la única fe que profeso, es la única fe que puede ser universal, abrazada en Oriente y en Occidente, en el norte y en el sur, por cualquier cultura, esperada por todas las civilizaciones. Nada puede unir más a la comunidad internacional, nada puede acercarnos más al afán de una sola humanidad que la ciencia y el conocimiento. A todos los premiados, mi felicitación, mi estímulo. Descubrir, amar la investigación responde a dos grandes motivaciones. La primera, el asombro, la capacidad de asombrar. Y segundo, el humanismo, es decir, la fuerza de contribuir al destino de los demás, al destino de nuestra especie. En el Mediterráneo volquemos nuestros esfuerzos por la protección de nuestro mar, de nuestro entorno, de este planeta, Tierra, que puede prescindir de la especie humana perfectamente, pero que nosotros no podemos prescindir de ese planeta. Cuidémoslo. En esta casa del Mediterráneo que está llamada a ser un centro de convocatoria al diálogo, a ese diálogo donde Borges sitúa el principio de las cosas. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Vamos a pasar ahora al segundo bloque, que va a presentar Mirtani Pieri. Mirtani Pieri holds a PhD in Molecular Biology and Genetics from the University of Oxford, United Kingdom, and she's currently an assistant professor at the Department of Life and Health Science, University of Nicosia. In 2011, Mirtani won the international competition in science communication Fame Lab, and since then, she's devoted in science outreach. Mirtani is the co-founder of Cyprus, an NGO based in Cyprus with the expertise in communicating science issues to the public, aiming at bridging science and society. Mirtani, please.
Thank you, Ricardo. Ladies and gentlemen, Midnight is all about the celebration of science and the people who make it possible, the scientists. In this coronavirus era, we have witnessed the scientists coming out of their laboratories and talking with the people, talking with the society. We witness scientists taking off their lab coats, putting on suits and entering news media offices, going on television, radios, writing articles in layman language so that we can all understand, in an effort to communicate their science back to the people, to inform, to fight misinformation, and there's a lot out there, to make science accessible to the many, not just the few. In these times, scientists have almost become the new celebrities. So together with singers and athletes and actors, we now have epidemiologists and virologists and molecular biologists who have become household names after spending most of their lives in virtual anonymity. But we shouldn't need a pandemic in order to realize the importance of science and the importance of scientific way of thinking. So here at Midnight, we're not going to wait for the next pandemic or climate crisis or a comet to hit Earth, but we try to showcase and award the brilliant science that takes place in the Mediterranean and to celebrate scientists that have done cutting-edge research in their fields, in fields of health, technology, climate change, anthropology, marine sciences, and more. So here today, in the first Mediterranean science team, we will celebrate and honor the scientists that have dealt with how to help us age healthily. We will honor scientists that are working and trying to cure genetic disease. Scientists that study human fossils in order to give us clues of our descent. We will celebrate scientists that have made quantum computers happen, and scientists that show us that we are chemistry, and by understanding chemistry, we understand ourselves. Today, we will honor scientists that employ underwater robots in order to understand the degree in which us humans are leaving our traces and our garbage deep down into the seas of this planet. We will celebrate scientists that use computer power and big data in order to help fight human disease, and scientists that try to understand how the brain develops and how we could use this knowledge to repair our lost senses. We are here today to celebrate scientists that have been pioneers in identifying weird mechanisms in the tiny bacteria that had led to the biggest biotechnology revolution in our century, something that could change ourselves and the whole world. We are going to honor scientists that spend their lives trying to understand devastating neurological disorders, such as autism. We are here today to honor scientists that have overcome borders in order to study plants and animals in places divided by war, revealing how science has the power to work above division and unite. We are here today to celebrate all these people, to make their voices and their research loud enough for the whole of the Mediterranean and the world maybe to hear, to learn, and to be inspired. So lots of brilliant science gathered today in this first Mediterranean science team. And we will have the chance to meet this team of scientists and to hear more about their science very soon. But until then, I would like at this point to invite Ms. Rosina Lopez Alonso, Vice President for Organization and Institutional Relations of the SIC, to come on stage and tell us a few words. Ms. Alonso? There she is.
Good morning. It is a great pleasure for me to be at this first Mediterranean Science Gala, which rewards the scientific careers of 11 important researchers from different Mediterranean countries who have dedicated their lives to knowledge in such important and diverse areas as geriatrics, biology, physics, chemistry, paleanthropology, genetics, neuroscience, and marine sciences, among others. It is also a source of pride for me as a representative of the Spanish National Research Council to note that 2 people from that institution are among the 11 selected prize winners. The Spanish National Research Council, CSIC, is the largest public research institution in Spain and one of the most renowned institutions in the European research area. CSIC is the research organization in Spain with the greatest multidisciplinary potential. CSIC manages to undertake challenges that are not available to other institutions, both because of its size, with almost 14,000 people, and for its distribution in almost all the Spanish autonomous communities. Research in the CSIC is structured in 3 main areas: society, life, and materia, which cover most of the human knowledge. And with this, we aim to bring our capabilities, scientific and technological achievements close to all national and international sectors to transform them in social, economic, and cultural well-being for society. As it has been mentioned this morning, in the past year, science has faced one of the biggest challenges in history: to unravel the origin of the coronavirus, to elucidate who it affects and how it acts, and to obtain treatments to fight the pandemic. Researchers have organized themselves to work in a coordinated way, achieving spectacular results. This is a new way of doing science, which is transferable to other major challenges we face, such as the climate change, the energy transition, and the improvement of the quality of life during aging. The response to the recent volcanic eruption in La Palma is another good example that has shown that science can respond to the need of our society and that it holds the key to economic and social well-being. Society increasingly values science and perceives it more clearly as a way to find solutions. This is why this celebration today, this celebration of science, is particularly timely. It's also worth mentioning that most of the prize winners are women and that quite a few of them are very young. This is also very important because promoting and supporting the role of women in science is a task in which we have to put a lot of effort, since we cannot waste a single drop of talent. It only remains to me to thank the organizers for their invitation, to congratulate them for this initiative, and of course to extend my warmest congratulations to all the winners. Thank you.
Great, so thank you, Alonso. And now, I would like to introduce to you our jury members. So these are the 6 members of the jury that had the hard task of selecting the first Mediterranean science team, and to do that from the many excellent scientists that do research in the Mediterranean region. So these are, the jury members are Professor Maria Blasco. She's the director of the Spanish National Cancer Research Center, and she's also the head of the telomere and telomerase group. Telomeres are DNA molecules, DNA sequences in the end of chromosomes that protects them from damage. Then we have Professor Nektarios Tavernarakis. He's the Vice President of the European Research Council, ERC. He's also the president of the Foundation for Research and Technology, HELAS, fourth, and he is a professor of molecular systems biology at the Medical School of the University of Crete. Then Professor Fernando Valladares, I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's a research professor at the SIC, and he currently works at the Biogeography and Global Change Department of the National Museum of Natural Sciences. Ms. Pamba Garcia Molina. Ms. Molina is the coordinator and chief editor at SYNC, an agency specialized in science news, but you probably know that. Professor Juan Fuster Verdú, research professor at the Institute of Corpuscular Physics, a joint center of the University of Valencia and the Spanish National Research Council. And last but not least, Professor Dr. Gülsüm Salamer. It's a professor of architecture at the Istanbul Technical University and the former rector of the same university. We are lucky to have some of us together here with us today, and others will join us with the help of technology. So let's see how that goes. And I would like to start with Professor Tavernarakis, that hopefully is joining us online. Brilliant.
Good afternoon.
Well, to have you with us. And I would like to ask you, what are the reasons that urge you to support initiatives such as Midnight?
First of all, thank you for having me. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here with you today. It was also a very enjoyable experience for me to participate in the proceedings of the jury that selected the finalists. I believe that it is really very important to place emphasis on supporting research and science, especially in Mediterranean countries, because as countries sharing a common feature surrounding the Mediterranean Sea, we are also faced with unique but common challenges and opportunities as well. So supporting science will actually enable our countries to perform better, both in terms of their developmental trajectories, but also in terms of maintaining their human potential, which is extremely valuable. Scientists, as was already mentioned several times, are essential to society, are essential to our very survival under the threat of such a crisis that we are facing, the pandemic, the climate crisis. We need scientists, so it is very important to send a message that science is supported, especially in our countries that are faced with these unique challenges. In addition to that, I think that it is very important to support science because it contributes vitally to economic development and the prosperity of our various societies in all our countries. Through science, we can hope that our countries will perform better economically, will become even more competitive in a European ecosystem, in the European landscape, and will eventually be in a position to further develop and prosper towards a future that will be free of these problems that we are facing today. So again, thank you very much. It is really a pleasure. I wish that I could be there with you, but we are also organizing here the Researchers' Night, as you know, the last Friday of September. It's a pan-European event, and I couldn't join, but it is really a pleasure to be here, even in such a manner. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Professor Tavernarakis. Wise words. And now, I would like to connect with Professor Salamer in Turkey, if possible, for her address. Let's give it 1 or 2 minutes to see if technology would do us a favor of connecting virtually from Alicante to Turkey. So, if we can connect later on, we can hear Professor Salamer. Now then, let's listen to a short video from Professor Maria Blasco that unfortunately could not be with us today, but let's hear why she supports initiatives such as Midnight.
Hello. First of all, I would like to say that I am very sorry not to be able to be there with you to celebrate this important day. I feel very honored to be part of the jury that has selected the Mediterranean science team. I would like to congratulate all of you that have been selected. I am sure that you will be able to play very important teams and succeed. And well, congratulations again, and I hope you have a lot of fun. Bye bye.
We might be able to connect with Professor Salamer in Turkey to hear her words. Welcome to you, Professor Salamer. Welcome virtually to Alicante.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure for me to take part in this Midnight project and being able to address you today. I would like to share some of my thoughts and feelings about this beautiful sea and also this very exciting project of Midnight, if possible. The Mediterranean, I would like to start a little bit about the history because I love the history and the geography of the Mediterranean basin. The Mediterranean basin has been the cradle of world civilization since the first settlement in Jericho, some 9,000 before Christ. Maybe I should also mention Göbekli Tepe here in Turkey that is dating back 12,000 before Christ. Our sea, as all we know, played a major role in the communication of people around it and prevented clashes between people with different interests from different parts of the basin. The world map shows that what a unique location the Mediterranean Sea has in the world. It is big enough to house all of us, but at the same time, with its unique shape, with its islands, bays, and straits, it creates a means to connect the people around it. It looks as if it's a closed sea, but it offers the main transportation routes between east and west. This Mediterranean Sea is a symbol of creativity, the search for the meaning of life and for wisdom and love of people and nature. This sea has always been an environment that has raised outstanding people who have made remarkable contributions to the development of history in philosophy, art, music, literature, science, and technology. We all know that the oldest universities in the world varies depending on how one defines a university. If we list the universities on the narrow definition of degree-granting institutions, we see that the oldest university in the world is the University of Bologna, established in 1088. Among 44 oldest universities, 25 were founded in the Mediterranean basin. The Mediterranean universities, with their core strengths, based on their deep intellectual culture and socially interconnected staff and students, can play a major role across the world. So I'm very proud to be born in the Mediterranean basin to be one of the leading technical university as a teaching person, as a professor and researcher. So, but now we are taking another important step. The Midnight Project has brought us together as Mediterranean universities. This is a really very important step. It's a great honor for me to be a member of the jury of the Mediterranean science team. And it was very impressive to have 30 applications, over 30 applications. And after our individual evaluation of, as jury members, we held an online jury meeting using technology. And it wasn't easy to define the winners because we really have had very high quality of applications. At the end of the evaluation process, it was really surprising that majority of scientists who have been successful in this evaluation process are women. This achievement of female scientists is a remarkable result. I have another hat. I'm also the president of European Women Rectors Association, EVORA. So this result gave me another big pleasure to see that women scientists are taking really big steps to show their capacity and their intellectual achievements. I would like to congratulate all the scientists who took part in this competition, but my special congratulations goes to 10 winning projects with 11 top scientists for their achievements. Before I conclude my speech, I would like to congratulate the organizers of this Midnight Project, and my special thanks goes to the leader of the team, Ricardo Dominguez. And that's all from me. I wish just my colleague said I could have been there, but unfortunately my worry about the COVID-19 made me not to travel to Alicante as still we are having increasing number of cases in my country. Dear colleagues, let us continue to build up new knowledge and exchange perspectives across the Mediterranean area. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Salamer. It was nice that through technology we could have you with us. So I would like to thank all members of the jury, the ones we heard, and the other members for their comments, for their support, and for their great work in choosing this first Mediterranean science team. And now I would like to ask for Miss Lorena Sanchez, journalist, editor-in-chief of Cuba Magazine, and the organizer of the Mediterranean science team, to take my place here on stage. Lorena, thank you.
Thank you, Mirtani. Thank you. Gracias a todos los que estáis aquí. Yo creo que fue una manía mía de cuando era pequeña, me gustaba hacer equipos. Jugaba en el equipo de baloncesto de mi colegio y así empezó todo, porque me encanta que se muestre la gente que tiene valor. Llevo haciendo equipos de ciencia muchos años. Este es el primer equipo mediterráneo de la ciencia. De verdad me parece que es algo importante. Es algo importante porque creo que solo, como mi papel como comunicadora, solo si se muestra lo que vosotros hacéis y los científicos que estáis aquí sois lo que realmente importáis, si se muestra, si se conoce, se convierte en algo importante. Se convierte en algo importante el clima, el mar, el que conectemos con países del sur, como ha mencionado el presidente Zapatero, que es fundamental para que hagamos de verdad equipo. Este es el primer equipo mediterráneo de la ciencia. Creo que todas las personas que están ahí son brillantes. Todas van a hablar ahora y nos van a contar qué hacen. Para mí, eso es lo que importa. Todo lo demás, sí, estamos en un recinto precioso, vamos a comer muy bien, pero lo que hacen estas personas de verdad merece la pena. Me gustaría mostrar el vídeo en el que vamos a hacer un repaso de todos los que forman parte de este primer equipo, de esta primera selección mediterránea de la ciencia, y luego, uno a uno, van a ir contando a qué se dedican, qué hacen en su día a día, por qué han sido seleccionados por esto, porque realmente lo que importa es lo que ellos hacen. Así que sí, todo mi apoyo, desde luego, como siempre, Si hay que hacer un equipo internacional y montar una nueva liga, contad conmigo. ¿Vale? Si vemos el equipo, el vídeo lo están proyectando. Nos ha faltado la musiquita, es decir, que esto venía con una música estupenda, muy de equipo de fútbol. Es Katerina Harbati, desde Grecia. Aquí está con nosotros Nurkan Turbak, desde Turquía. Guillermina López Bendito, que conocen bien en Alicante. Francis Mójica, conocido en Alicante, en España y en el mundo. Nadwa Abedmegid, gran amiga desde ayer, ha hecho un gran viaje desde Egipto. Martina Perdomenico, de Italia. Y si os parece, os voy a dejar con la segunda parte, va a conducir esta parte de la gala, Raquel, que es una divulgadora de ciencia conocida. Ella va a presentar a cada uno de los científicos y cada uno de ellos contará en el escenario qué es su trabajo. Muchas gracias, gracias a todos. Cuento con vosotros para la próxima.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias, bienvenidos. Tranquilos, yo no voy a tratar de hablar en inglés. Vamos a intentarlo hacer lo más fluido posible. Vamos a intentar presentaros a estos grandes científicos que van a formar este equipo mediterráneo de la ciencia. Y se ha elegido hacer ese equipo de fútbol. Y al igual que pasa en el fútbol, en ciencia necesitamos a personas capaces de poner la pelota en juego. Y la profesora Nurkan Turbak es una de ellas. Ha formado parte del equipo que desarrolló el algoritmo PRINCE, que diréis, ¿qué es? Pues es justo un algoritmo que nos permite posicionar los fármacos del futuro. Es esa puerta de entrada al gol. Va a entregar la camiseta Pampa García Molina, periodista de ciencia y redactora jefe de la agencia SYNC. Un aplauso, por favor. You will talk in the mic.
Dear respected guests, thank you very much. And it is a great honor to be selected a member of Mediterranean science team. I am very happy to be here together with 11 great scientists. And I would like to first introduce myself. I am an engineer by training, working on health problems to understand the causes of diseases. Actually, biological systems inspire me a lot as an engineer, and our body is composed of millions of cells, and molecules within each cell are coordinated like a machine. They also perform like workers to form a big communication network within the cell. We researched this tiny nanoscale system having a big communication network. These molecules include proteins, genes, and other small molecules. And the broken parts in this communication network or in this system may lead to some complex diseases. I can list cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, such as Alzheimer and so on. My research field is computational biology and bioinformatics. We usually call it as a dry lab, as a group. And it is an interdisciplinary field that engineers, medical doctors, molecular biologists are working together. The bioinformatics field actually allowed me to combine my interest in understanding diseases with my mathematical prowess and passion for engineering. We developed sophisticated computational approaches to reveal the protein and gene networks, their alterations in diseases. We apply these approaches to cancer data because globally cancer is the second main cause of death, and the prevalence is still dramatically increasing. Huge amount of data has accumulated in cancer research, and as we computational scientists, we need to step in and make big contributions to interpret these accumulated big data in biology and medicine. Our aim is to reveal how a normal cell transforms into a cancer cell with the help of computational modeling. We integrate molecular signatures of cancer, such as mutations or gene or protein expressions in tumors to elucidate the abnormal signals, which is important for the decision of treatment strategies. In today's world, patient-specific data storage, determination of treatment strategies based on these data are proceeding at a considerable pace, and our studies are an important component of this. And our research contributes to developing better treatment strategies and better diagnosis strategies, and we hope to see the results of the results applicable in clinics in the future. As I conclude, I would like to thank the young, talented scientists in my research group, my mentors, and my collaborators working toward this aim. And I would like to also emphasize the necessity of diversity to advance engineering sciences and systematically increasing the interest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, in abbreviation it is STEM, starting as early as possible. Thanks very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nurcan. Ahora es momento de seguir hablando de fútbol y de defensas. Y por eso voy a hablaros de Habiba Buhamed Chabouni, que lleva décadas muy implicada en la mejora de la salud de las niñas y familias afectadas por enfermedades genéticas. Y ya en los 80 nos dio una forma de evitar que haya muchas enfermedades genéticas. Y es un consejo muy, muy sencillo. En las bodas, los primos como invitados, no como vuestro marido, ¿vale? Va a entregar la camiseta Lucas Sánchez, director de la agencia de noticias Science y miembro del comité directivo de la Asociación Española de Comunicación Científica. Muchas gracias.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to be here today in this midnight event. But how it happens and why that a mom has to take care of many severe affected children? And why don't you prescribe a treatment for the children? Those was the questions I asked several times to the physician in charge of my training when I was still a medical student at Medical School of Tunis, training in pediatrics department in Children's Hospital of Tunis. And always I get the same answer. Oh, those are hereditary disorders. And now, medical investigation and management are still poor. But Habiba, myself, was a curious child. When I was a child, I kept asking questions about the beginning and the end of the life. Few years later, when I got my MD, I decided to study in the same time pediatrics and genetics. But in fact, I wanted to study medical genetics, but there was no specialty at this time. So I was a student in Faculty of Medicine and in Faculty of Science of Tunis, and then, of course, I went abroad in France, Italy, Canada, etc. And when I came back to Tunis, I started doing research by getting grants in several fields, and the first one was in consanguinity. And we studied consanguinity in Tunisia and established in the early 80s the national rate of inbreeding. Beside clinics, beside making diagnosis, helping families with genetic counseling, making diagnosis, cytogenetics, molecular diagnosis, of course, later, I decided to go in research. And I described new clinical entities, chromosomal abnormalities, and molecular anomalies. Of course, to do this, I had to build team research, what I did. I had a team research and a team for diagnosis of those diseases. And I established a very nice, very good collaboration with European colleagues from France, Italy, and other countries. And I contributed and discovered some genes like familial Mediterranean fever. When I asked my Tunisian colleagues the first time, I'd like to study this Mediterranean disease, they told me, oh no, we don't have this disease in Tunisia. So I told them the name means that we have to find this disease in our country, and of course we had different cases, and I contributed to discover the gene responsible of this disease. Excuse me, I have, oops, it's the stress. Yes. I made several studies in chromosomal abnormalities and in genetic disorders like ambiguous genitalia, like congenital adrenal hyperplasia, cataract, several congenital syndromes, and even in cancer diseases. And we established molecular epidemiology for different diseases in Tunisia and even in North Africa in collaboration with colleagues. And today, I can say that I've succeeded by being able to develop a new medical specialty in the country, and there are many geneticists, actually, medical geneticists in Tunisia, and different centers to take care of such affected children. But in the same time, I contributed to develop human genetics research in the human lab genetic research in faculty in the medical school of Tunis. And in the same time, I made my efforts to contribute in the education, teaching of genetics, and implemented a master's degree in genetics and then a PhD degree in health science in a medical school and not in the scientific school, faculty in Tunisia. So I hope that I have the opportunity to continue this research with my colleagues in the Mediterranean area, but it's not a new activity for me because I took part to a Euro-Mediterranean project some years ago, and I worked with colleagues from around the Mediterranean Sea for 6 years at least. So maybe it's a new starting, a new beginning of collaboration with another team of scientists from Mediterranean region. Thank you, and I'm really happy to be a member of this team.
Thank you very much, Javier. Now, ahora es el turno de Martina Pierdomenico. Ella es investigadora del Consejo Nacional de Investigación en Italia y se centra en el impacto de la contaminación en los bares. Martina Pierdomenico, en su investigación, encontró el mayor estercolero de Europa donde iba toda nuestra basura, y allí pudo encontrar coches, lavadoras, libros de autoayuda. Va a entregar la camiseta a Fernando Valladares, Premio Rey Jaime I de Protección de Medio Ambiente e investigador del CSIC. Os voy a pedir un fuerte aplauso. Gracias.
Hola, good morning everybody. I'm really honored and excited to be here as part of this team to present some of our research on one that is one of the most pressing environmental issues at the moment, that is marine litter, because we saw a dramatic increase in the production and generation and mismanagement of waste, and as a consequence, enormous amount of litter have entered the sea. It's estimated that 10 million tons only of plastic litter get into the ocean every year, and these estimates are predicted to increase under a business as usual scenario. So, as a consequence, marine litter is now everywhere, from the coastal beaches, shallow water, down to the most remote place in our Earth, that is the deep sea. In fact, the deep sea is the largest ecosystem on Earth, but it's also the less explored and the less known. And this is a very significant knowledge of gap, because most of the litter that comes from land sooner or later will sink and will tend to accumulate on the seafloor. And moreover, here there are some geological and oceanographic processes which may constitute specific location, such as the submarine canyon. And the submarine canyon are just canyon, they are valley in size on the seafloor, and they basically function as a conduit for the transport of material and water from coast and shallow water to deep sea ecosystem. And they do not also funnel natural material, but they can also funnel large amount of pollutant and litter, especially when they are connected with rivers. And this was the case of the Messina Strait, which has a dense network of canyon connected with rivers. And we were actually surveying, we were collecting samples to do the geological map of this area, and we encountered a lot of debris, of anthropic debris. So we decided to come back and using underwater robot equipped with camera to see what was going on. And what we found was astonishing, not in a good sense. As you can see, we found very large accumulation of litter of any kind, it's mostly composed of single-use plastic, but it includes, every odd object that belongs to municipal waste. And all this waste is mismanaged, and throughout river and then throughout canyon can go down to hundreds of meter depth. But this may be only the tip of an iceberg, because we were able to survey just to 600 meter depth. Exploration of deep sea is extremely expensive, so we did not have the chance to go deeper. But we think that even larger accumulation may lie at higher depth, not only because we recovered effectively debris at 1,000 meter depth, but also because recent exploration of other canyons around the world are showing similar hotspots down to 2,000 meter depth. And I would like to point out that the deep sea hosts diverse and very vulnerable ecosystem that we don't know. But when we get the chance to observe this fragile ecosystem, we see that the litter already came. It came before us. So I just want to conclude with few words about potential solution. No, it's not an easy task to face this issue, but one example that is often quoted when talking about litter is the flooded bathroom theory. And it says, if we have a flooded bathroom, which is all around the floor and it's wetting the wall of this room, what could we do? Obviously, we could start cleaning the floor, but it does not make much sense if we don't close the sink before. That's why, along with all the remarkable initiatives for cleaning up, we urgently need to stop the input of plastic and litter to the sea. Because litter not only impacts the economy, such as tourism and fisheries, but it seriously threatens the integrity of marine life, with potential risk also for human health, with the microplastic can be ingested and have ecotoxicological effect. So current research is trying to assess also this problem, but we urgently need to stop, to cut the problem at the root. And so that's why I thank again Midnight organization and this initiative to bring light on this problem and to foster cooperation of country, because common problem obviously require common solution, but science can have a prominent role in trying to find this solution. So thank you again.
Muchísimas gracias, Martina. Todo equipo necesita a alguien que sepa ver qué ocurre a su alrededor y para eso necesitamos sentidos. Guillermina López Bendito, del Instituto de Neurociencias de Alicante, investiga el cerebro antes de nacer, la estructura y sus conexiones cerebrales que nos permiten ver, oír y sentir lo que tocamos. Como Melendi, que no siente cada vez que toca, pero nosotros sí. Entrega la camiseta a Juan Fuster, profesor investigador del Instituto de Física Corpuscular y uno de los físicos más importantes del país.
Buenos días. Good morning to everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for organizing this beautiful event in this beautiful building. Been in Alicante several years already. You know, I haven't appreciated the large, incredible places that we still have in our place here in Alicante. So thank you for this. And thank you, of course, to Midnight for being organizing such an event. And of course, I would like to thank the jury for selecting me and my lab for the kind of investigations that we do here in Alicante. So I can smell the sea. I don't know you can, but I really can smell the sea here. It's everywhere. So thank you also for putting this in this very nice place. I would like to start by saying that I did biology here in Alicante, and then I went to Oxford to do a postdoctoral training after doing my PhD also here in the Institute of Neuroscience in Alicante. But I have to say that I was fascinated in science well before that. Actually, I was 10 or 11 years old when I truly decided that I want to dedicate my life to discover things. And this is one of the most pleasant feelings that one can have, is when they discover something that is really unknown and will have, a grain of salt to resolving problems. And I put some pictures on the screen because what I will be telling you now is something that can be recapitulated in some, images that are speaking more than words. And my lab, we work in neuroscience, which I think is one of the most important challenges in the society right now. It has been for long, but now it's really, really very important to understand how the brain works. And also how we do in the lab is understanding how the brain develops from the very beginning, and how these 50,000 millions of neurons, as stars we have in the sky, are able to connect to each other in a normal and useful way, so we can think, we can make actions, and we can have feelings. So why is that so important? It's important to generate knowledge about neuroscience, about how the brain is working, because we all have for sure someone close to our lives that has a problem related to the brain. So diseases that are affecting the brain are those that we know that has to do with autism, schizophrenia, dementia, Parkinson, and many others. And we now understand that some of these disorders, brain disorders, have a developmental origin, and it's how the neurons were born and were connected to each other that is the real problem that is happening in these individuals. And one of these disorders also that affects 5 to 10% of children worldwide and also affect the way they behave in school and they learn is dyslexia. Dyslexia is an example that I put here because it has to do, now we understand that it's a problem or sensory disorder. And if you go to next slide, please. So sensory disorders is our goal in my laboratory, that we are trying to understand how our brain is able to compute sensory information. Us are a machine of computing sensory input every millisecond, every second. So how I'm speaking now, how you are hearing me, how you are seeing me, everything is computed at the brain, and a structure that is called the cerebral cortex. All this information goes to this structure, which is superficial in our brain, through a very, I will say, passionate structure for me, which is called the thalamus. The thalamus is there in the center of the brain and receives all this sensory information that it will have to travel correctly to the proper cortical territories. So in my lab, we work in understanding how the thalamus is able to connect to the cortex to prepare all these motorways and all these pathways for sensory information coming later in life. Next slide, please. So we are interested now in understanding how this is all built, but of course, we are interested in understanding how the brain has the extraordinary capacity to repair itself also. So, for example, we are working in understanding how the brain is able to have plasticity and to adapt to changes in this sensory information, what has been very nicely shown in humans and many animal models, that when you lose sensory input early in your life, as for example congenitally blind, congenitally deaf, there is a problem in connections in the brain, how the brain adapts, what cortical areas are adapting, and how we can get the best of these adaptations is also something that we are very interested in my lab. We are also, of course, interested in repairing. Why? Because in all these sensory deprived individual, there is an irreversible loss of neurons and neuronal circuits in their brain. So we need to reprogram, we need to rescue the lost sense. And in the lab, we are using reprogramming of cells from one origin in the brain to another origin. So we are really fixing direct reprogramming to try to rescue these neurons that have been lost and also the connections that were lost as well. So this is the thing we are doing in my lab here in the Institute of Neuroscience in Alicante, which is one of the highest, biggest gap of neuroscience in Spain. And also I would like to finish my talk, my brief presentation of what we do, giving some thanks to the mentors that I had during my life as a scientist that were so key for me to succeed. And I have to thank so many of those that were, helping me in key points in my career. But also, I would like to thank my family, and especially my two kids, Malena and Lucas, for all the help and being there and supporting a mom that is always working in the lab and so on. So thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Guillermina. No hay equipo que se precie que no tenga un portero estrella, pero en este equipo no tenemos uno, sino que tenemos dos. Es el turno de Iris Charalambidou, del Departamento de Ciencias de la Vida y la Salud de la Universidad de Nicosia, y de Salih Gusel, del Instituto de Ciencias Ambientales de la Near East University de Chipre, que se han unido para investigar la flora y la fauna que está ahora mismo apareciendo en Varisia, en esa frontera que separa en dos la isla y que está desde hace mucho abandonada y no habitada por el animal más peligroso, el ser humano. Va a entregar la camiseta Mirta Nipieri, profesora asistente de la Universidad de Nicosia y nuestra encantadora primera presentadora. Un aplauso, por favor.
I don't want to take this off in front of you and then put this on, so. Okay, so thank you, good afternoon to the esteemed guests and to the honored guests, and thank you also to the organizers for inviting us here today. My name is Iris Charalambidou, and I'm from Cyprus, from the Greek Cypriot community, where we speak Greek, and the main religion is Christianity. And my colleague over here is Professor Salih Gusel, and he's from a Turkish Cypriot community where they speak mainly Turkish and the religion is mainly Muslim. So as you can imagine, there have been many conflicts in our country. We come from a very small island, and since 1974, it was not possible for our communities to meet each other. So in 2003, some borders were opened between the north and the south of our country. And in 2005 or 6, because we are scientists and we believe that humans should be united in solving the problems of the world, we decided that we would like to cooperate with each other. And the reason for this is because we are both biologists and ecologists. We are interested in the environment. And the world, because the human population has reached, we are nearly 8 billion on the planet. This means that the problems that we face in the world now are at a global scale. For example, like the climate crisis that is in the news all the time now, but also there is a huge biodiversity crisis that is present at the moment as well. It's not just the climate crisis, various other environmental issues like air pollution, plastic pollution, etc. In order for humanity to be able to solve these issues, we need to be united with each other. And this has also been proven with the COVID pandemic as well. So as a species, we need to cooperate with each other and we need to solve our problems together. So we decided to be an example of this on our very small island where the communities are arguing with each other. So we received funding from the United Nations Development Fund in about 2006 or 7, so just 3 or 4 years after it was possible for us to meet each other. And we decided to investigate the biodiversity that is in a zone which separates our two communities and where nobody is allowed to go there. It is policed by the United Nations peacekeeping force. So we both formed a group. We collected scientists from the Turkish community, scientists from the Greek community. We formed a big team of between 10 to 12 experts, mammal experts, reptile, birds, plants, etc. And with the permission of the United Nations, we entered this demilitarized zone. And we tried to do research with soldiers escorting us everywhere. They had to follow us for each step. And also, many of the areas were also still had minefields. So basically, we tried to cooperate with each other in a very difficult political situation in our country, and also in a dangerous part of the island as well. And we are very happy to say that our project was very successful, and since then we have been cooperating together for the last 15, 16 years, because we want to show that there is one language, the language of science, and that people need to be united and to find common problems to the issues that humanity is facing. So I would like to thank you for this great honor today, and to thank you, the organizers as well, and thank you. And I would like to let my colleagues speak as well, so I'm not doing all the speaking. Thank you.
Buenos días a todos participantes. Muchas gracias para invitación de organizers. I want to learn. I'm trying to learn Spanish. I like Spain and Spanish language, but I cannot talk too much. So I was born before the conflict starts in Cyprus, and I grew up in an environment where there was almost no pollution. The nature is untouched, no human intervention. And I became enthusiastic, and in the end, I realized that biodiversity, nature protection, other living things became my passion. That's why I decided to study biology. And then when I returned, while I was studying, I realized that Cyprus is too small to tackle its problems in that divided situation. So when we had the chance to meet with each other, we decided to talk from the science language, which knows no borders, no religion. So that's how we started. And now we are still cooperating on the same issue. And honestly, I am more worried about the humans, not the nature, because nature will find a way in the end if we don't understand that the nature is more powerful than the humans. We have the technology, we have the power, but in the end we are going to have problems if we don't try to solve our problems. Like with this COVID issue, now we are trying to fight against one virus, but we don't understand that we are destroying lots of living things every day, and so that's why it's up to us to find a solution for nature, and in the end, it will be a solution for us too. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for organizing this beautiful event.
Voy a decir que me ha dolido que hayáis aplaudido esas palabras en español de Salí Bucel y no me estéis aplaudiendo a mí con lo que me cuesta hablar en castellano, que soy de Murcia, ¿vale? Gracias. A Najwa Abdel Meguid le hemos dado centrocampista izquierda. ¿Por qué? Porque cuando uno es centrocampista tiene que estar tanto atacando como defendiendo. Y cuando se investiga el trastorno espectro autista, pero además se trata con pacientes, uno tiene que estar preparado para atacar los mecanismos que producen el TEA, pero también tiene que estar preparado para defenderse de posibles cabezazos de sus pacientes. Esto lo sé por experiencia porque mi hija pequeña tiene uno de los síndromes genéticos que producen autismo. Todavía lloro porque cada vez que lo pienso digo, sí, su padre era igual, debería haberlo sospechado. Y sé bien que es eso porque gracias a mi hija yo ya llevo más puntos que España en Eurovisión. Así que por eso le voy a entregar yo misma la camiseta. Najwa and I was talking last night about to make this like an interview, and I want to know, I know it's very difficult in a short time, but could you explain then what is the autism?
Okay. At first, I want to thank the Midnight, and it's a great honor for me to be a member in this special group. My challenge is autism, because it is a clinical disorder which has no treatment till now, and increasing every day and every year it is increasing. And the other thing is that it is due to genetic disorder combined with environmental. So it is difficult to treat, difficult to follow, difficult to make everything. So it is my challenge in my work and my passion to help these families. At first, I will introduce myself as a human geneticist in Egypt at the National Research Center. And I got a fellowship in USA from Yale University and from Pasadena University in Sweden. And Sweden, which is in the child care center, they changed all my ideas towards the disabled child that I have to help. And so I decided to increase their abilities by early intervention, early diagnosis, using the most up-to-date tools. Because I'm working in a national research center, we have the most up-to-date tools for molecular diagnosis. And then we discovered a new gene for autism. And I think all of us know what is autism. It is a neurodevelopmental disorder which is characterized by special behavior and crying, and it is a spectrum. A spectrum means that there is a lot of autistic disorders. Some with the GIT manifestation, gastrointestinal and the microbiota, and some with the brain mainly, and some with, so it is different disorder in all the people, in all the children. And then we discovered a gene which is very important and treatable, but this is for part of autism. It's not a treatment of autistic disorder, but it is a treatment for the children with seizures, convulsions, and consanguinity, meaning parents are relative to each other. And the third thing is a mental subnormality to some extent that the brain is not working in full power. We discovered the gene that's responsible for amino acids. If you can follow me, this is amino acids, branched chain amino acids. We give the child this branched chain amino acids, it's improved completely. And so this is a very important thing, and we publish it in Science, and difficult to publish in Science from Egypt. Difficult, yeah, because all the high elite journals, they are not believing in the Arab. And this is one of the challenges I faced in my work, but by time, I can do it now, and because of the discoveries, and if the manuscript or the paper is the research is good enough, so they are obliged to accept it. But this is one of my challenge. And the other thing, other than autism, I ties my work in human genetics with neuropsychiatry and with nutrition, and I'm a member in the nutritional disorder group in Finland. I'm an eminent member there. And then the last thing is the social science. Social science, I got a very big achievement in this area with my colleagues, and I got a project, big project from the IDRC, the International Center in Canada for Development, and we started to empower women who have a child with disability, because all the community in my country, they accuse the mother for any child with abnormal features or abnormalities or mental retardation. This is from the mother, So I faced this when I was in the clinic, and I was so angry, and I want to explain to the community that it's not the mother only, could be mother, could be the father, could be not genetic at all. There is a lot of things which is not a genetic disorder, and with some dysmorphology and with some mental retardation and something like that. And I did this project and to empower the woman using the information communication technology, the ICT. So the ICT, we make a website for the mothers in the layman language in Arabic, and even not in sophisticated Arabic, in the layman, to let her understand. And then we put on the web all the centers which can improve the child with intervention and something like that. And we push her, we empower her, but this took a long 6 years working with this project and renewed until we make a change. Change is a very good thing, and after change, there is some women in the parliament now in Egypt, a lot of women in the parliament. Before it is only one. But it's not due to this project, but this is one of the precipitating factors to pay the attention to this. And I think that the research is the key for future. It is. And the publication, due to the media and the social media and the internet, is very important now, because it evolved to the target audience. So we have to take care of this. And lastly, I think each woman now can take the marker, her marker, and draws her line that she wants to be and to go through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Y ya vamos a terminar con el último de los asistentes de este equipo de Ciencia Mediterráneo. Y no podía ser otra cosa, Francisco Mojica, que delantero. Eres el delantero de este equipo. Titular del Departamento de Fisiología, Genética y Microbiología de la Universidad de Alicante y conocido principalmente por haber realizado el hallazgo de las secuencias repetidas CRISPR en esos microbios de las salinas de Santa Pola, y que gracias a él que metiste ese golazo, algún día, ganaremos la liga contra los defectos de la genética y podremos hacer lo que todos queremos, Francisco, y es poder hacer cosas sin padecer las consecuencias genéticas, como por ejemplo casarnos con nuestros primos. Va a entregar la camiseta la excelentísima rectora de la Universidad de Alicante, Amparo Navarro. Un fuerte aplauso, por favor.
What a lovely person, the president of my university. Habéis visto que llevaba tirantes, ¿verdad? Si me comparáis en la foto entendéis por qué esta mañana. Sí, esta mañana he ido a ponerme los pantalones y se me caían. He pensado que era la única opción que tenía. I'm going to switch to English. And I'm so pleased to be here that I'm going to tell you a short story, just for fun. 30 years ago, I came across old landscapes, but not in the countryside, but in the salt marshes of Santa Pola, 20 kilometers from here, within a microorganism that is called Allopherax mediterranei. That's probably the reason why I'm here as a member of the team. These shallow pools, these marshes, are heated very fast thanks to the wonderful weather we enjoy here, as we probably noticed already. So the seawater evaporates to reach these salts at so high concentration that it puts life at high risk. However, the microorganism where I found these sequences can readily adapt to these life-threatening conditions. This organism also belongs to this group of, probably you didn't hear talking about this Haloarchaea. You probably heard talking about bacteria, but not about this rare, very strange, weird archaea. So that's the reason why for a few years I didn't get any funding to work with these so strange and bizarre organisms. So anyway, these intriguing sequences I found in this organism really captivated me completely. And I threw myself into them, looking for an explanation for their presence in these bizarre organisms. And 10 years later, during the summer break in 2003, I disclosed that these sequences are part of a unique adaptive immune system that protects these organisms from invading viruses, for example. So this was such an astonishing revelation that I rushed back from my office at the University of Alicante to the apartment of my parents-in-law in Santa Pola, where we were spending our holidays, to tell my wife that she's there, she can say that that happens like I'm going to tell you right now. I said, honey, probably I didn't say honey, but anyway, honey, I found something really amazing that sooner or later will appear in the biology textbooks, and that's already happened. And the applications that have derived from this discovery are now revolutionizing science beyond microbiology to agriculture, to biotechnology, and particularly to medicine. And history, the history of the Mediterranean civilizations shows us that, like Halopherax Mediterranean people can adapt to the very complicated circumstances. Working hard while still enjoying life, and my colleagues today exemplify what I am talking about. Thanks to our, how you say, innate immunity to failure, thanks to our perseverance, we can make great things happen. So congratulations to my colleagues of this Mediterranean science team for the recognition they received today. Thanks to all who are behind Midnight, to the awards committee for highlighting the value of the search for knowledge. And thank you so much to you for your attention. Thank you.
Pues hasta aquí nuestros científicos. Ahora es el turno de María Isabel Fortea, quien es directora general de Investigación e Innovación Científica de la Comunidad Autónoma de la Región de Murcia. Un fuerte aplauso.
Buenos días, presidente, delegado del Gobierno, conselleras, rectores, jurado, investigadores, señoras y señores. Buenos días. En primer lugar, yo quiero agradecer la invitación a estar hoy aquí, en este acto, en nombre de la consejera de Empresa, Empleo, Universidades y Portavocía de la Región de Murcia, y representando a las 3 entidades que han participado en la Región de Murcia en este proyecto Midnight, que son la Universidad de Murcia, la Universidad Politécnica de Cartagena y la Fundación Seneca. Para mí es un placer venir a la Comunidad Valenciana, a la que tan unida he estado en toda mi época universitaria en la ciudad de Valencia y a la que tanto me une Alicante por lazos familiares importantes. Quiero felicitar a los organizadores de este evento, realizado en este marco incomparable, y felicitar sobre todo a los científicos del Equipo Mediterráneo de la Ciencia. La comunicación y la divulgación científica son 2 acciones que nos pueden ayudar a tener una sociedad muy formada y con un pensamiento muy crítico, porque la comunicación pone en valor la investigación y, en segundo lugar, la divulgación permite a la sociedad poder entender materias muy complejas y favorecer vocaciones científicas. Es la única manera, porque solamente amamos lo que conocemos. Una población formada e interesada por la ciencia puede y debe poner a la agenda política la importancia de la ciencia como una inversión que puede cambiar el presente y nuestro futuro. y es un importante instrumento de resiliencia. Países científicos fuertes ya se ha probado que son capaces de resistir mejor la crisis porque son capaces de transferir a su tejido productivo. Pero la ciencia requiere mucho tiempo, mucha dedicación, mucha coordinación, mucha inversión. Si queremos un sistema de investigación competitivo, necesitamos apostar por la capacidad de retener, atraer y recuperar talento, facilitando su progreso profesional y favoreciendo la movilidad de nuestros científicos. Nuestro reto debe ser conseguir un sistema científico bueno, una sociedad conocedora de la importancia y valor de la investigación y, sobre todo, muy interesada por la cultura científica. Como señala el reciente informe de la Comisión Europea 2020, Europa Verde y Digital, la investigación, la innovación y la educación están demostrando ser fundamentales no solo para abordar la actual crisis sanitaria y proteger a los ciudadanos, sino también para liderar las transiciones hacia la neutralidad climática y el liderazgo digital y responder a los desafíos urgentes, como por ejemplo los problemas comunes de los países del Mediterráneo que hoy nos ocupan, como el cambio climático, la contaminación del mar, la necesidad de la investigación en salud. Necesitamos a la ciencia como base de un futuro sostenible y ese es el objetivo a conseguir por las múltiples estrategias y planes europeos. La ciencia es el presente y sin duda el futuro para la búsqueda de soluciones a estos problemas comunes. Para conseguirlo, los científicos tenemos también una gran responsabilidad. Debemos aprender a divulgar y a difundir desde nuestro trabajo, desde el laboratorio, desde las aulas de las universidades, desde los colegios. La región de Murcia ocupa una posición privilegiada en cuanto a divulgación científica y participación ciudadana se refiere, gracias al elevado número de asociaciones de divulgadores de la región y al cada vez mayor número de investigadores que se han dado cuenta y están concienciados de la necesidad de transferir a la sociedad el conocimiento científico. Por eso la región de Murcia no dudó en sumarse a esta iniciativa Med9 a través de las dos universidades, la de Murcia y la Politécnica, y la Fundación Séneca. La Universidad de Murcia tiene previsto hoy más de 100 actividades en espacios públicos, entre juegos, experimentos, talleres relacionados con la energía, el clima, la contaminación y la física. La Universidad Politécnica de Cartagena va a aprovechar el marco de las fiestas que se están realizando en este momento de cartagineses y romanos para realizar divulgación científica en esas áreas. Esta misma mañana hemos inaugurado la exposición Rostros Mediterráneos de la Ciencia, producida por la Fundación Séneca. Se trata de los rostros de científicas de países de la cuenca mediterránea, modelos contemporáneos con los que las chicas de hoy en día pueden identificarse y evitar esa escasa representación femenina en el mundo de la investigación científica. Desde la Dirección General a la que represento y a través de la Fundación Séneca, iniciativas como las de hoy se enmarcan dentro de los objetivos del Programa Regional de Cultura Científica e Innovadora, donde se incluyen algunos eventos ya arraigados en el calendario de la región, como la Semana de la Ciencia. Toda la comunidad científica debe crear iniciativas de este tipo. Deseo que con esta iniciativa se consiga acercar el trabajo de los científicos, el papel de las universidades y de los centros de investigación a los jóvenes que sin duda serán el futuro de nuestro país. Quiero dar la enhorabuena a todos los implicados hoy, agradecer a los investigadores que tienen el interés y la inquietud por divulgar y, sobre todo, a los comunicadores de ciencia que nos acompañan hoy, que tienen la dura tarea de conectar la ciencia y la sociedad con mucho rigor y que son tan importantes en este momento. Muchas gracias.
Ahora les voy a pedir otro fuerte aplauso para Ana Barceló, chicos, consellera de Sanidad de la Generalitat Valenciana.
Muchas gracias y buenas tardes ya. Presidente José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, delegada del Gobierno de la Comunitat, consellera de Innovación, vicepresidente del Consejo Europeo de Investigación, rectora de la Universidad de Alicante, directora general de investigación de la región de Murcia, y también a todas las instituciones que hoy están aquí, que también patrocinan esta Gala de la Ciencia. Autoridades, amigos y amigas, la ciencia ha vuelto a cambiar el mundo y para siempre la historia de la humanidad. Pero tal vez en esta ocasión haya sido diferente. El desarrollo de la ciencia y su aplicación, esto es, la tecnología, históricamente ha sido patrimonio de los países que han entendido, antes que el resto, que el avance del conocimiento transforma nuestras sociedades y que esos avances mejoran, antes o después, la vida de los ciudadanos. Este 24 de septiembre se celebra la 9ª edición de la Noche Mediterránea de las Investigadoras, lo que permite destacar explícitamente la importancia del trabajo de nuestras científicas y científicos en todas las áreas del conocimiento. Este evento recorre todo nuestro viejo continente, extendiendo esta celebración donde la ciencia es protagonista en más de 370 ciudades europeas. Y esto es así porque la ciencia es global, porque los descubrimientos no saben de fronteras y porque las científicas y científicos están interconectados a nivel global, lo que permite que los avances corran rápidamente. Y un ejemplo claro, y me van a permitir que me detenga en la pandemia del COVID-19, el 31 de diciembre de 2019, China comunicó una serie de casos de neumonía atípica. 7 días más tarde, el coronavirus causado por la enfermedad fue aislado. Y el 12 de enero del 2020, solo 5 días después, el virus ya estaba secuenciado. La primera vacuna aprobada por la Agencia Europea del Medicamento ocurrió pocos meses más tarde, el 21 de diciembre del 2020. Todo un hito poder contar con una vacuna el mismo año en que se declara la pandemia. Hoy, menos de un año después de la aprobación de la primera vacuna por esta agencia, el porcentaje de vacunados con pauta completa en España supera ya el 76%. Y todo ello ha sido gracias a la investigación científica y al compromiso y entrega de un servicio sanitario público y universal volcado en resolver esta pandemia y al que nunca estaremos lo suficientemente agradecidos. Pero aunque la ciencia es transfronteriza, la hacen las personas que viven en lugares concretos y es obligación de los gobiernos y de los estados protegerlas y cuidarlas, porque así aseguramos que los sistemas de investigación científica puedan progresar y que sus avances se apliquen a los ciudadanos. El Consell es sensible a esta realidad y tiene un compromiso firme por el fortalecimiento del sistema investigador de la Comunitat Valenciana. Hoy se presentan 11 científicas y científicos que son la representación de la ciencia que se hace en los países que rodean el Mediterráneo, el mar que los romanos llamaron así por estar en medio de la tierra. Estas científicas y científicos de diferentes campos y disciplinas son el ejemplo y el exponente de la ciencia alrededor de este pequeño mar en donde nacieron las civilizaciones clásicas que a la postre nos han hecho ser lo que somos. Quiero cerrar mi intervención dándoles la enhorabuena a todos ustedes, agradeciéndoles su entrega y dedicación al avance del conocimiento en todas las áreas de trabajo a las que se dedican, y quiero recordarles que sea un ejemplo para muchas niñas y niños que pueden descubrir con ustedes seguramente ya la pasión por la ciencia y por el conocimiento. Creo que hoy hemos presentado a todo un equipazo que va a trabajar por la ciencia y la investigación. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. Me he adelantado. Ya vamos a ir con con nuestra última personalidad que va a dar un discurso, pero antes quiero agradeceros a todos porque sin saberlo habéis participado en una performance que hemos hecho en la Midnight para simbolizar ese sobrecalentamiento del Mediterráneo. Hemos encendido esta mañana la calefacción, por eso el calor, ¿vale? No es porque sea Alicante. Voy a pedir, por favor, un fortísimo aplauso para Carolina Pascual, consellera de Innovación, Universidades, Ciencia y Sociedad Digital de la Generalitat Valenciana.
Consellera de Sanidad, Directora General de Investigación e Innovación Científica de la Región de Murcia, Secretario General de Casa Mediterráneo, querido José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, invitado honorífico de este acto, muchas gracias por estar hoy aquí con nosotros. Amigas y amigos, a todos los presentes, muy buenos días. Es un placer estar hoy aquí, en Casa Mediterráneo, este edificio maravilloso en una antigua estación de ferrocarril y un emblema histórico de Alicante que ha sido recuperado para la ciudadanía. Además de su belleza arquitectónica que podemos contemplar, este edificio alberga la sede de Casa Mediterráneo, un instrumento de diplomacia pública que tiene el objetivo de promover el conocimiento mutuo y el acercamiento entre España y el resto de países de la cuenca mediterránea, en áreas tan diversas como la cultura, la economía, el cambio climático, la igualdad de género o la innovación científica y tecnológica. Y precisamente celebramos hoy la gala del Equipo Mediterráneo de la Ciencia Midnight. En otros momentos, el conocimiento y la ciencia eran solo asequibles para unos pocos, pero afortunadamente, con el paso del tiempo, poco a poco, y con cambios a veces lentos y otros pues, más abruptos, el conocimiento ha llegado a toda la sociedad. El papel de las universidades en estos cambios pues, es decisivo y forma parte de su esencia porque nacieron con ese objetivo. Desde su creación, las instituciones académicas han trabajado por formar en saberes a la ciudadanía y extender el conocimiento, y lo han conseguido. Pero el paso del tiempo pues, también ha cambiado el mundo hasta hacerlo más complejo. La tecnología, la avalancha de información que recibimos y los cambios de los ritmos de vida hacen cada vez más difícil acceder a algunas áreas de conocimiento y conocer los avances de investigación. Y en una gala como la nuestra, que es importante que pongamos de manifiesto que la investigación no debe quedar en un espacio cerrado, sino que sus resultados y sus avances, sus porqués, deben ser comunicados. Es importante que lleguemos a la sociedad. La aparición de la COVID-19 y la situación que la pandemia ha generado, el descubrimiento y la distribución de las vacunas, como bien comentaba la consellera antes, los efectos del cambio climático o la erupción del volcán en La Palma son cuestiones que afectan y que preocupan y mucho a la ciudadanía. Por eso, además de formar, las universidades y los centros de investigación os habéis unido para transferir los resultados de investigación, comunicar la ciencia y divulgarla. Porque debemos hacer esos esfuerzos para que la sociedad conozca y valore la investigación. La encuesta sobre percepción social de la ciencia realizada por CECIT en 2020 nos muestra que tan solo un 14% de la ciudadanía tiene un interés espontáneo por los temas de ciencia y tecnología. Es un porcentaje bajo. A pesar de ello, los temas relacionados con medicina y salud sí que atraen mayor interés, probablemente como consecuencia de los tiempos en los que vivimos y aún obtendrán resultados superiores, bajo mi punto de vista. Por eso la labor de las universidades y de los centros de investigación en este sentido es tan importante. La divulgación científica nos permite comprender mejor el mundo que nos rodea, apreciar y valorar el trabajo de las investigadoras y los investigadores, tener un criterio formado sobre algunos temas que desconocemos y algo muy, muy valioso que es despertar vocaciones científicas. Muchas actividades de las entidades que habéis llevado adelante estas iniciativas también van dirigidas a la infancia y a personas jóvenes. Ellas y ellos podrán dedicarse a la investigación, a la ciencia y a la tecnología el día de mañana. Pero incluso aunque no fuera así, seguirá siendo un gran logro porque la divulgación de la investigación favorece una sociedad formada con pensamiento crítico, es decir, una sociedad más fuerte. Estoy convencida de que la comunicación científica y la divulgación son dos acciones que nos pueden ayudar en este sentido y hoy pues, creo que es una muy buena muestra de ello. El impulso a la investigación es una apuesta decidida de la Consellería de Innovación, Universidades, Ciencia y Sociedad Digital. Esta misma semana hemos presentado la Fundación Valer, una fundación de la Generalitat Valenciana para mejorar nuestro ya excelente sistema de investigación. Valer es la apuesta de la Generalitat para las personas con talento científico. Busca promover todos los mecanismos de apoyo en el desarrollo de la carrera profesional para la incorporación, retención de personal científico y de excelencia internacional. Con Valer queremos poner en marcha los instrumentos que facilitan la creación de una gran comunidad de investigadores que pueda desarrollar su carrera con un trabajo riguroso y estable a través de la investigación pionera. El objetivo estratégico se centra en contribuir al impulso, la promoción y el desarrollo de la investigación y el conocimiento científico, humanístico y tecnológico en beneficio de la sociedad, las universidades, los centros de investigación y de la comunidad científica en general. Por eso actuará en todas las universidades y centros de investigación de la Comunitat Valenciana con el fin de favorecer la producción de conocimiento científico, reforzar los grupos de investigación y establecer colaboraciones científicas y académicas con universidades, centros de investigación nacionales e internacionales, así como también con el sector privado. Este proyecto se enmarca en la apuesta por el talento de la Generalitat Valenciana, que iniciamos con el programa Gente para la atracción y retorno del talento a nuestro territorio, un programa que ya ha incorporado 100 investigadores al sistema de investigación y que en tan solo 3 años ha permitido el registro de 20 nuevas patentes, ha generado 34 grandes contratos de transferencia y ha creado 260 empleos cualificados. Seguiremos en esta apuesta porque creemos firmemente en nuestro talento y en que muchos y muchas investigadores querrán venir a investigar en nuestra comunidad. Por último, quiero agradecer que la celebración de esta gala sea aquí, precisamente en Alicante de nuevo, porque es la sede de la Consellería de Innovación, Universidades, Ciencia y Sociedad Digital, y porque desde Alicante lideramos y coordinamos las políticas de ciencia e investigación en la Comunitat Valenciana. Y por último, quiero agradecer también la labor a todas las personas que os dedicáis a comunicar y a divulgar la ciencia y la investigación, porque sin duda vuestro trabajo nos ayuda a ser mejores. Muchas gracias.
Pues muchas gracias a todos por haber venido, gracias a todas las entidades que han hecho posible que exista esta Midnight, a todas las personas que formáis esas entidades. Y ahora os voy a pedir un fortísimo aplauso para nuestro equipo de científicos que van a subir a hacerse la foto familiar. Muchísimas gracias a todos.